So last Friday after market close, the Wall Street Journal reported that GameStop is eyeing an acquisition of eBay, a company that is about 4 times its size. And of course, because of that fact alone, this story has sent the whole internet into a bit of a frenzy here. How is this possible? Would GameStop have to take on significant amounts of debt in order for this to happen? What kind of wizardry, financial engineering is going on in the background that would allow for GameStop to be able to acquire eBay? I'm not going to talk about all of that. I am not an expert in financial engineering. I'm not a professional investor. I'm not a financial advisor. And by the way, this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Do your own due diligence with your investments and how you manage your money. I'm just sharing some of my own speculation and some of the story that has come out over the past couple days. So, anonymous sources here, according to the Wall Street Journal. There's no official statement from GameStop. There's no official statement from eBay on any of this. But yes, this story did come out last Friday, and this is a few months after, the Wall Street Journal interviewed the CEO of GameStop, Ryan Cohen, who had said that he's planning on some type of merger or acquisition that the public markets had never seen before. And if this story is true, well, then I guess this is a part of that, because this is pretty significant of a story, right? 4 times the size of GameStop, eBay. Now, I've seen a lot of negativity online, and to be honest, I don't necessarily disagree with any of the negativity or the skepticism right now, especially because, honestly, historically, GameStop has a bad rap as being the company that you trade in your used video game for and you get pennies on the dollar for it, and the store credit and all the shenanigans. They turn around and flip said used game for 10x or more. So I understand, that GameStop historically over the past couple decades does have a bad reputation in that regard. But I've also seen people say, hey, if this acquisition goes through, this is going to be bad for eBay sellers. This is going to be bad for eBay buyers. This is just overall going to be bad for consumers that use eBay. And I want to share some of my own speculation and throw my name into the hat here and kind of just talk about why I think it could be good for eBay buyers and eBay sellers, and what GameStop brings to the table in regards to a partnership, an acquisition, a merger, whatever it is, whatever it ends up being. If GameStop and eBay became one, how does eBay benefit? How do the users of eBay benefit in this regard? So that's what I want to talk about. I'm not talking about the financial engineering. I don't know enough about that. I just want to share my thoughts on the other stuff. Now, in the background, we're going to have some Call of Duty gameplay. I just throw some stuff on in the background so we don't just have to stare at screens or boring charts for the whole video. So the primary reason that I feel that eBay sellers and eBay buyers could significantly benefit from this GameStop partnership is because of something that GameStop is currently doing with its own business. So for anyone that hasn't visited a GameStop in the past couple years or just isn't in the know of what GameStop has been doing, they are no longer just a video game store anymore. Historically, it's just been the place you go to buy your video game consoles, buy your new video games. You wait in line for midnight releases for the new Call of Duty game. You go there to trade in your used games for store credit to buy other physical games. That is not really, that's the legacy business. They still do that, but they've gotten heavily into collectibles now, and especially Pokemon cards. That's been a big thing. Obviously, Pokemon cards have been really huge over the past 5 years or so. The market has really gone up. There's been a lot of new individuals interested in collecting, buying, and selling Pokemon cards and other collectibles. So that is what has been going on recently with GameStop. That is now a part of the business. And they've also partnered with PSA. You can go in, if you have a card that you want to grade, you can go, instead of shipping it to PSA yourself, you can go into GameStop. They'll send it to PSA for you and give it back. Basically, it's like a drop-off pickup center, so to speak. And so, again, completely speculation. This isn't something that GameStop or eBay has announced. This is just my own thoughts on what could happen if a partnership or an acquisition or a merger happened here. Is that you could be dropping off the items that you sell on eBay. One of the main problems I have seen as someone that knows someone that is close to me that has been buying and selling items on eBay for the past couple decades, is kind of like a side hobby, side gig thing, is just verification that the item is real, that the item is authentic, whatever the item is, whether it's sports memorabilia, a used book that's a couple hundred years old, whatever the item is the verification that the item is actually the item that is being listed and that it is in the condition that is shown in the pictures. And so it's just spitballing here, but just thinking, if there was a partnership, all of a sudden eBay now has these physical locations, these GameStop stores where you could go in, and it's not just, it's no longer coming in with your trading cards to get them graded by PSA. You can now go in, if you sell an item on eBay, you go to the GameStop store, you bring in that said item, they'll take the pictures to verify that it's in the condition that you said it was, and then they can confirm to the buyer, hey, the item is authentic, it's exactly what the seller said. They'll go ahead and they can even ship it for you at that point. You don't have to just go there for the verification. You could also go there and have eBay, or I guess GameStop, ship the item to the buyer for you. Perhaps they put a fee on top of that, whatever the case may be. But all of a sudden, you think about it similar to like Amazon drop-off centers, so to speak. You pick up drop-off centers. It would be similar in that sense. The GameStop, all of a sudden, it becomes a pick-up drop-off center for the items that you sold on eBay. Again, just completely spitballing, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. One of the downsides with eBay as a marketplace, and really just all online marketplaces. We're talking about like Facebook Marketplace. Again, like just anything, anywhere where you sell items online, being able to verify that the item is authentic. Of course, eBay has fail-safes in place for that sort of thing, but having a physical verification and drop-off centers just makes it a little bit more lucrative in that regard, and just adds an extra layer of protection for the sellers and for the buyers. Another thing that would be great about eBay having physical pickup and drop-off locations is, of course, the aspect of instant returns. Let's say a buyer gets the item and it's not what they thought it was. Maybe there's some kind of return policy that would be put in place as long as the item is not used or damaged or whatever the case may be. And within a certain period of time, you can bring the item back to the GameStop store for them to be able to ship back or hold the item or whatever the case may be. It allows for that instant, verification that the item has been returned, as opposed to you just kind of relying on this communication with this stranger to send the item back. Yet another positive effect of having physical locations for eBay buying and selling is local buying and selling. When you think of Facebook Marketplace, it can be treacherous waters to have to navigate sometimes. It's just some random stranger with a Facebook account that you're meeting. You don't know what they actually look like. They have their photos online on their account or whatever, but they could be fake. You never know. Rule of thumb is meet in front of a, public place with, possible security nearby, maybe in front of a police station. Having the GameStop stores as physical locations, there could be, safe zones, trading zones, so to speak, safe exchange zones, whatever you want to call them, where you have a safe zone in place to meet people that you're buying and selling to locally. Again, I'm just spitballing here, but there's so much positive influence of eBay having these physical stores. And of course, you merge together. GameStop's already gotten into the collectibles business. eBay's got TCG Player. It's just the perfect marriage of all of that. And all of a sudden, this conglomerate becomes the number one, collectibles company, so to speak, as far as verifying collectibles, the condition that they're in, the buying and selling, all in one. It's all in one. I think it would be great for eBay buyers and sellers in that regard, because what you are getting is authentic. That when you're going to sell, that there is a buyer on the other end. There's going to be good communication there, or at least there's a company that is facilitating the communication and making sure that the trade goes through without problems. Because there's been numerous times before for eBay sellers, Facebook Marketplace sellers, the trade falls through. You agree on a price, you agree to sell it, give it at a certain spot, or ship it, at this time, and then the buyer gets cold feet at the last minute, or tries to, lowball you at the last minute, or whatever the case may be. And so having all of these safeguards in place with the physical locations, with the authentication, the verification, I see way too many, more positives than negatives in that regard. And so I think a lot of people are underestimating the positivity that could come from that. Again, like this is just me speculating. Obviously, there's no guarantee that this is what GameStop would plan to do with eBay or how this partnership would go through. Maybe they even, get rid of parts of that business. I would hope that they would, if all they're going to do is just raise prices on eBay sellers, raise fees, then yeah, I would say that's pretty bad. But, I think with the integration of physical locations, there is some real value to be gained there. And so even if there were increased fees for, in-person verification, I think that outweighs the downsides of buying and selling used items and collectibles and memorabilia online.